your mouth will pay you more than your hands will ever pay you. And so when I came back to Utah, coincidentally, I actually got into construction because my dad owned a construction company. So I was actually using my hands, not my mouth. I was the one out there swinging the hammer. 2008 hit, it crashed. And I just remembered those words. So I got into sales. Of all things, I started selling vinyl fencing. That led me into, and these are all steps, right? So that led me into then meeting a bunch of insurance agents that I was giving quotes for.
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk with Alex Ramirez. Today, as always, I have a very special guest. And I know I always say that, but it's because it's always true. And before I introduce him to you, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving comments, reviews, likes on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and to those who have been watching on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. And I just want to ask you for a favor today. I want to ask you that if you get something out of this episode, some piece of information, some value, even a feeling, I want to ask you to share it with one person, since this is how we grow. This is how we share our message, and this is how we motivate, inspire, and bless other men to change their lives. So today I have Cody Hofhine. Is that right, man? Did I get it?
Yeah, you can
right?
say it just like that. Cody Hofhine.
Cody Hofhine. He's a multiple Inc. 5000 business owner, co-founder of Wholesaling Inc. And he's the number one real estate coach. He has the number one real estate coaching program across the entire nation. He's co-founder of the Joe Homebuyer, the leading real estate franchise. And he's a successful real estate investor, mentor, and sought after speaker, a commercial real estate investor. He has coached thousands of students to be successful, in real estate. He's a husband, a father, and he's a bunch more that I can say that if I start talking about all his accomplishments, I'll spend the entire hour here. So, man, you're welcome. Well, you're welcome, and thank you for being here, man. I appreciate you.
So excited to be here, Alex. I love that we had some time before we pushed record to learn a little bit more about you, and excited to be here. So I'm an open book. You fire away with whatever questions, and I'm here to serve your audience as much as I can, bring as much value as I can. And hopefully all of us will have some kind of a growth or a value give exchange on this podcast episode.
Awesome, man. Thanks for that. I always appreciate an open book. So the first thing that I ask my guests is for them to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
Whew, 75 seconds or less. Let's try this. Okay. So I knew I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Let's see if I can do this really quick. I wanted this my whole life. I never went to college. I did graduate high school. School was just not my way of learning. I never thought that school was my like a way to learn. I always wanted to be the one that wanted to own the business. I didn't really want to work for someone. And so I happened to serve a 2-year church service mission. And I got to go out there and just preach the gospel to people. And it was actually in the country of Honduras. And so I was down there for 2 years, and my last words that I got from a leader of mine down there said, "Cody, your mouth will pay you more than your hands will ever pay you." And so when I came back to Utah, coincidentally, I actually got into construction because my dad owned a construction company. So I was actually using my hands, not my mouth. I was the one out there swinging the hammer. 2008 hit, it crashed. And I just remembered those words. So I got into sales. Of all things, I started selling vinyl fencing. That led me into, and these are all steps, right? So that led me into then meeting a bunch of insurance agents that I was giving quotes for vinyl fencing. I ended up opening an insurance agency in 2010 and did that for about 5 years until I got into real estate. But entrepreneurship is a progress. I know a lot of people, real estate, I love it. I'm passionate about it. This is what I do, and this is what I foresee me doing forever. But it was necessary to go through my trials, my struggles, and my challenges, because every one of those were stepping stones to get me to where I'm at. So hopefully I broke it down quick enough. I know there's so much more in between there, but hopefully that gives you an overview of what I've done.
You crushed it, man. You crushed it. And for the last thing that you said, your struggles, all the pain and all the trials and tribulations that you go through, that's going to be the source of the main lessons in the future, right? But if you can internalize that mindset shift, because it's a mindset shift, if you can internalize that lesson, well, then you can look for those lessons while you're going through the trials and the tribulations, instead of waiting, right, for when you figure everything out, and then be able to look back and be like, oh, that's what I needed to learn, right? So like with that mindset in mind, whatever it is that you're going right now through, just realize that it's happening for you, right? And then try to learn the lesson as fast as you can, because the lessons are going to repeat itself. The problems, the scenarios are going to repeat itself until you finally learn them. So I just wanted to mention that, man. But yeah, your mouth will pay you more than your hands can. 100%, man. And when did I learn that? I learned that like a year and a half ago. I was like watching a training from, I don't remember the name of this guy, but he drew like a staircase, and he explained that at the lowest level there were the implementators, then the second level were the managers, the third level were the communicators, and then the final level were the thinkers. For example, in a hotel, the implementators are the ones who are doing all the work, right? The ones cooking, the ones cleaning, the ones doing everything, right? Then the managers are the ones who unify and manage that group of people who do the things, right? Then the communicators he's like not the owner, but the one who communicates with everyone, who like what the goals are, where we're going, where we are, what our mission, what our vision, right? And then he keeps the manager accountable, and then the manager is responsible for the results that the implementators work for, right? And then the thinker, all the way to the end, all the way at the top, like he's the one doing the least work, the least like physical work, but he's the one like making the most money, right? He's the one thinking about the strategy and the vision and like managing multiple hotels. And like I've always had that in mind. I've always like, I actually have it. I have a drawing of that right there in my whiteboard. And I'm always like, I'm always reminding myself that I don't want to be the one implementing everything, right? And like for everything that I do, I'm always like wanting to go up, as high as I can in that staircase. So that was great, man. That was a great lesson. So let's see. Okay. So you always wanted to be an entrepreneur. How did you always knew you wanted to be an entrepreneur, man? Like, where did you get that insight from?
Gosh, I was the kid that drove every parent nuts. Like if I'm the kid that every parent would be like, oh man, grateful Cody wasn't my kid. I was the one that was like involved in everything, but never really did one thing. Baseball was like a big passion of mine. I played baseball my whole life, but I also played golf. I also played hockey. I also played football. I also played tennis. So I tried all these things. And for my parents, they're like, dude, we can't just keep buying all these like tennis rackets, golf clubs, baseball bag, like football gear. I tried everything. And it allowed me to instantly not necessarily have to be an expert in everything, but allowed me to connect with people with all over the world. So when I went down to Honduras, for example, I'm now in a completely different country. I'm in a completely different language. And as I'm talking to these individuals, I realize my childhood helped me succeed at a very high level on this mission, because I was able to connect with any individual, any family, no matter what their background was, because I had experienced and tried so many things and not just focus on one thing. And this can be contradictive in the business world. Yes, you want to put your focus on one thing. If you're going to be doing something, focus on one thing. But because I had so much experience in different sports and in different activities and in different hobbies, it allowed me to connect with many individuals, not just people that just love baseball and then not connect with anyone else. And so I learned from just an early age, man, I want to be the one that is able to connect with everyone, able to literally build a community around these ideas that I keep coming up with. And so my connecting with individuals is probably my biggest strength I have. Is if I want to meet someone, I find a way and I make that something that's part of my year goals. I have faces in the real estate space that like some of the greats. Robert Kiyosaki, for example, was a huge guy in the real estate space that's really his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, happened to inspire more real estate investors than probably any other author. And so I wanted to meet him. Well, I actually had him on my podcast just a few years ago, and I was able to map out a strategic path to get there. And so I guess what it is when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's just having that clarity of vision, mapping out what it is you want to accomplish, because without that vision, you won't be able to know what are the action steps that you need to take through the year to make that happen. So a lot of people take action. We see that all day long. People are busy on their phones and social media, but that busy doesn't equate to success. Yes, you're busy, but you're not busy building like a business. You're not busy building up something that's really valuable. And so I have clear visions on everything I do, and then it allows me to take the right action throughout the day so that I accomplish those goals.
So it starts with vision, 100%. And so you've been a follower of God, right?
Yeah.
And even like on the creation of the world, it started with vision. On the first day, right? What did God create? Light, right? So that he could have sight. So yeah, it starts with vision, man. I'm not part of it, but I'm very familiar with King's Council. I don't know if you know about them.
Nope.
King's Council, no? Well, their entire coaching program is based around the 7 days of creation. And like the first thing they get people to do when if you go into the coaching program, the first thing that you have to do is work on your vision, because most people do not know what they want.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's very true. But we see it even in a classic Disney movie, Alice in Wonderland. This was one of the weirdest movies I ever watched growing up, by the way. But you see Alice come to a fork in the road, and she doesn't know which way to go. She has no idea. She's like, should I go left or should I go right? And then the Cheshire Cat pops up and she says, well, where do you want to go? And he's like, I don't know where I want to go. Then the cat's like, well, then it doesn't matter which path you take. And really, if you think about it, most people run their life that way. They don't know what to say no to. And so they just keep doing it. And to be successful, you really have to say no to more and yes to less. And it's so, as an entrepreneur, you're going to have a ton of opportunities brought your way. Everyone's going to bring you the next opportunity, the next deal. But if you know your vision, you know you're very clear on what it is you want to accomplish, you're able to see those opportunities as distractions, and you're able to say, no, I can't do that. And you only say yes to the things that are going to get you closer to accomplishing the goals that you set forth.
Yeah, man. Warren Buffett, I think, was the one that said that one of the reasons he got so rich, is because out of 100 investment opportunities that were brought to him, he said no to 99 of them.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So when you were young, you tried everything, right? So you were clearly saying yes to everything, which takes me to another very interesting point, that in order for you to find vision, or in order for you to find whatever it is that you want to do, well, you got to be able to taste, right? Like if you've only tried chocolate and you say that chocolate is your favorite candy, well, how are you going to know that if you haven't tried the thousands of other candies that are out there, right? So you were trying stuff. Do you think that's why you found out that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, because I think that contradicts and goes against everything college, right? Because you go into college, and this is hard. Most people are 19, 20, 21 years old. They're very young. They don't know really what they want to do when they want to grow up. And that's why you see the college system fail so many individuals, and why you see trillions of dollars of debt attached to student loans. That's a scary statistic. What that's suggesting is you're going in there and you're like, oh, I want to be and whatever you go to school for, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a marketing engineer, or an electrical engineer. You go down the road, you're in school for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. You get your degree, and then all of a sudden you start your career. Well, you start your career out with $100,000, $200,000 of debt attached to the school. Now you go work for someone at 50, 60 grand a year. But then there's only a few. When I say a few, it's actually scary. It's about 20 to 23% of individuals that graduate actually stay in the field that they graduated in. So most people graduate, they get a degree, and then they find out they hate the job. They actually don't like it. They don't want to be an engineer. And so now they go pick something else. So that school now didn't even serve the purpose that it needed to. And you still have all that debt attached to you. So yeah, I don't like school because it narrows you down into one thing. And then a lot of people, most people, 75% are saying, oh, I wish I actually never would have gone into this because I actually don't like this. That's scary. That's daunting. By able to just go out there and try different things, you're able to find out at a young age, what is it do you want to do? Okay, here, instead of going to school for 4 years, go work for that company for
fail.
1 year and go see what it looks like. Go feel it, go taste it, go touch it. And at the end of the year, if you like it, stay there. And if you don't like it, move on, find something else. But there's no need to go to, for everyone, there's no need for everyone to go to school for 4, 5, 6 years to find out you hate it.
Yeah, it's a great insight, man. And you have kids, right? So I'm going to selfishly ask this. I don't like school either, man. I was actually really good at school, so even though I did it high school, I did it drunk and I did it high. Like I would literally, like I was like addicted to wax pens. I would literally go to the restroom after first period, get high, go to second period, go to the restroom after second period, get high, go to the third period. And even though that's how I did high school, man, that I did it fucking high. Even though that's how I did it, I got a full ride scholarship to like go to college. And that was a blessing because for an entire year and a half, I didn't have to worry about money. They paid for my books, my gas, my clothes, everything. And while my wife was living with my mom, I was studying, I was looking for opportunities, building my insurance business, and I didn't have to worry about money. So like school was definitely a blessing that I'm very grateful of. It was extremely easy. School was extremely easy, man. I did it high, but I don't like it. I don't like school. Like, like right now I feel the most successful, happy, and fulfilled that I've ever felt. And this has nothing to do with school. Like I haven't used anything that I've ever learned in school, out of school, in life. So one of the things that I'm wondering, like, what should I do with my daughter? One of the things that I think right now, like the idea that I have that I want to do with my daughter is that instead of sending her to school, like paying for her to do everything that caught her curiosity, right?
Yeah.
So like let her explore her curiosity, do everything, taste everything. And then when she finds her one thing, when she finds like her inner talent, her gift, her what she's good at, then just like sending her to like a superhero school in which they can focus on that one thing and make her world-class at it by the time she's 12.
Yeah.
Right. That's like, I don't know. Do you send your kids to school or like?
Yeah. So they have to go through like your general diploma, right?
It's through law, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Preschool all the way up to senior year up in high school. So I totally get that. I respect that. And I think there's a social cue to that's beneficial. And yes, there are great things that they have to learn. They need to learn to read. In fact, if there's anything I would say to my kids, it's the number one thing you can learn from school is reading, because most people don't read. And the biggest and greatest leaders I know are readers. They're all readers. Every one of them, everyone that I know that's successful, they read and they read daily. What we do, I know you're someone that you have planned to go daily, to go to the gym, to go work out. Because your body, you'll look in the mirror and you'll be like, hey, I love that I did this workout because now look at the result. I have big arms, or I have a big chest, or big shoulders. What people fail to see is you can't see what your brain's doing, but every time you reading is the exercise to your brain as lifting weights is to your body. Mm-hmm. So if you want to grow with intelligence and you want to be able to have these thoughts and these ideas that actually turn into valuable success, turn into actual successful businesses, or if you want to have the ideas on how to lead and guide your family, your wife, your kids, then read every single day. Reading is the working out of your brain that you have to have. And most people just don't read. They just don't spend the time for it. You will never catch me a day without reading. But if my kids, if they came to me and said, hey, Dad, pay for my college, I would be straightforward with them. I'd say, I'm sorry, I'm not paying for your college. But if my son came to me or my daughter came to me and said, Dad, I have this cool idea and I really want to do this startup business, I'd be, let's go. I'm all in. I will support that. I will invest in that all day long because I love that. If my kid said, hey,
sorry for the interruption. If you're an aspiring, established coach, course creator, author, and speaker, I want to extend an invitation to check out my free training on the podcast Cloak Track Framework by clicking on the link in the description of this podcast. On this training, you're going to learn how combining podcasting with a rare concept that very few people know about called the cloak track can help you build a multi-million-dollar network of successful people who can become your clients, put you in front of hundreds of your ideal clients with your message, coaching, courses, and books, help you become a best-selling author, get you booked to speak on stages, or even making an extra $237,600 in the next 6 months. Click on the link of the description of this podcast to learn about the 4 simple steps to make this work. Step number 1 is alignment. Aligning who you're trying to be, what you're trying to do, your goals and purpose with building your podcast so that podcasting is a vehicle that helps you achieve your goals. Step number 2 is leveraging the cloak track to find an unlimited supply of your ideal podcast guest. Step number 3 is leveraging the cloak track to close an interview with anyone, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem. And step number 4 is the content machine, which is the key to tapping into other people's audiences. These are the 4 steps to making the podcast cloak track framework work, and I'm not going to hold anything back on this training. So click on the link in the description of this podcast, go and check it out. And once you've done that, if you feel like this would help, we also have a complimentary, free, absolutely free alignment call to get you started and show you exactly how to implement everything. Get access to the training right now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
I think I want to be a marketing. My greatest gift as a dad, because I love connecting with the best in the world in almost any industry. I love connecting with great people. The greatest gift I can give my son is to continue to connect with great people so that when my son comes to me and says, hey, I want to be a great marketer, that I already know who the greatest marketer out there is, that I could say, hey, I would love for my boy to come work for you free of charge for the next 12 months. He's going to work for free. He's going to work his tail off. He's going to bust it every single day. He's going to give you his best, but he is going to do it free of charge. And I'm going to tell my son, hey, you're going to be working for the best out there. You're doing it for free though. It's still further ahead, and it's still better than going to college that you have to pay for unless you have a scholarship. And you don't even know if you like it or not. And they're not really, the first year of college, you're not learning anything about marketing. You're doing general eds that has nothing to do with the field you're looking at. So I would do that. And if my boy really loved it and he really gave it his all, at the end of the year, the owner is either going to come to Bentley, my boy, and say, dude, I have to have you on my team. So I'm willing to now pay you $150,000 a year. You're so valuable that I need to pay you $200,000 a year. I want you to stay. Or Bentley has the opportunity to say, I don't like this. I need to go try something else. Or Bentley can say, now that I know what I'm doing, I'm going to go start my own business. Those are all 3 incredible opportunities. He's either going to find out he hates it. He's going to get a better salary than most graduates that come out of it because now he has the experience and now he's proven himself and now they want him to stay, or he's going to leave and start his own business. I support all 3 of those options.
Yeah, that was great insight, man. Thank you very much, because literally what I do for a living is connecting with people who are 10, 20 years ahead of me, right? And then finding ways that I could add value to them. And, and then ways always come up in which they can add value to me. And that's literally what I do for a living. Like this week, I've had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 interviews, just like this one with you, right? Yeah. All men who are like 7, 8, even 9 figures, men who are literally 10 decades ahead of me, right? And that's what I do, connecting with people. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, man. Yes. That's probably going to be one of the greatest gifts that I'm going to give my daughter, right? And going back to like weights and reading, that's exactly how I learned how to speak English. Like 3 years ago, this is like I'm very close to like 70 interviews, and you can see the difference in the first interviews and this one. But 3 years ago, I didn't know how to speak English, and one of the ways that I learned was by reading every single day for like 2 hours out loud, right? Like I would just read out loud, and I practice reading and speaking. And the 2 keys for life, I would say, man, is doing hard stuff like lifting weights or running or doing ice baths, because when you do hard things, this little voice turns on, right? Which starts telling you, no, let's just rest. Let's just watch a movie instead. Or instead of going and taking an ice bath at 5 a.m., just how I do every single day, like the voice turns on and it's like, no, stay in bed. It's going to be so better. So comfy and so warm, right? Or instead of running, no, let's just eat chips or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And like when you do hard stuff, you get to learn about that voice and you get to beat it and you get to control it, right? And in the case of like most people, like the most of the world, they give in to that voice. The
That's
second
right.
key for life is reading, because there's no problem that you have right now that you cannot find in books, right? Like any problem that you have right now has already been solved, and the way that you can find them, the answers to those problems is in books. So
That's
like
right.
like doing hard things like weightlifting or running or stuff like that, and reading are the two keys for life. So yeah, I love that.
Solid advice.
So awesome, man. So okay, so you learn that your mouth will pay you more than your hands ever can, and then you finished your mission. And so what did you did after that? You went and got a sales job?
So right when I came home, it was actually just working construction. So my dad owned a construction company, and I worked for him for, let's see, '04 till about 2009. And then the market was just tanking during this time. So 2010, about the end of 2009, that's when I remembered. I'm like, oh my goodness. I remember my leader back in my church service mission that said, hey, Cody, your mouth will pay you more than your hands will. And so I started looking online, and interesting enough, most applicants had to have a college degree. Well, I didn't have a college degree. There was only one place that didn't have a college degree, and it was selling vinyl fencing. So the nice vinyl fences that you see out there, white, brown, all the different colors, they didn't ask for one. So I filled out their application. Long story short, I ended up getting the job, and I ended up, here's my claim to fame on sales. I've always loved sales because I love connecting with people. But you've got this R&D. Everyone thinks R&D is research and develop. And that really was the case back in the industrial era, right? You had this research and develop. R&D for me is rip off and duplicate, meaning someone's already done it. Someone is already there. Someone's already at the top. So instead of trying to reinvent the wheel and start from the bottom, what I did is I found the number one sales guy in that company, and I befriended him. I'm a great connector. So I befriended him. I started hanging out with him. I started going on his appointments with him, knowing that I wasn't going to get paid for my time that I'm on my appointment with him. He's going to get paid because it's his appointment. But I did it so I could simply rip off and duplicate the best salesman so that I don't have to struggle through this job. I ended up being the number 2 salesman behind this guy in the whole entire company. And they actually thought I would be about the 7th or 8th, because newbies, they said they don't make more than 500 grand in sales. And I ended up doing triple that. I did 1.5 million that year. And they were all just like, what just happened? Well, it's because there's always successful people out there. Are you humble enough? Are you coachable enough to be able to reach up to them, befriend them, find some way to give value back to them so that you can just learn from the best, or rip off and duplicate the process that already exists so that you can already start right out of the gate up here as the best.
Awesome. Yeah, there's no reason to try to reinvent the wheel. There's always, everything has already been, like figured out, and you just have to do is go and learn from people. And a very cool insight that I got in one of my last interviews was that, man, you want to know who's the best salesman in the world? Jesus.
What'd you say? Who wants to be the best? Who is the best salesman in the world?
Yeah, Jesus, man. You want to know who the best marketer is? Jesus. You want to know who the best leader is? Jesus, right? Everyone knows about him. Everyone remembers him. Like literally, there's a movement going on because of him. And like one of my guests said that, and I was like, holy shit, that's true. Like, if you want to learn about leadership, just go and learn about Jesus. Right? And I'm not like religious, or I'm not trying to promote any like religion, but I'm just sharing an insight that that I learned.
Very true.
Like, and if you want to be the best marketer in the world, like, just learn about Jesus. Like, that's why there's a big movement going on because of him, because of the marketing he did, right?
That's
right. You want to be the best salesman in the world, go study him. And you talked about humility right now, right? So like, if you have humility is a big trait that Jesus has, right?
Yeah.
So if you like are humble enough and are wise enough to like be able to go and ask for help, or be able to do what you did, which is stick to the best guy without getting paid, or using your time and just seeing him, and then that gave you the ability to replicate him. So again, you became one of the top salesmen in that company because you had a very important trait that Jesus has, which was humility, and you were wise enough to be able to apply it. So What do you think about that, man? It's a cool insight, huh? I didn't
Great
realize.
insights, fantastic insight. And yes, I couldn't agree more. I am a firm believer in God and in Jesus Christ. So that resonates very much with me.
Awesome. So then what did you do after that? You went into insurance?
Yeah. So what it happened is I started selling vinyl fencing, and I'd go on appointments, and for whatever reason, the people that would book appointments that I would get, there were like 10 of those appointments throughout the year that were insurance agents. And they're like, wait a second, you're like really good at what you do. And I'm like, well, thank you so much. Like, but you're going to sell me a fence, and this fence lasts 30 to 40 years, meaning I'll never buy a fence from you ever again. Why don't you get into a product that you could sell, and every year you get like residual for that sell? And I'm like, talk to me. What do you mean? And they're like, well, insurance. If I sell you home and auto insurance, every time you renew that home and auto insurance every single year, I get a cut every single year that you stay with me. And so instead of just having one sell, the sell just keeps going on and on and on as long as you keep the customers. So I love the idea of it. Had I known more about the fact that year one would be so brutally hard, I opened up my own insurance agency. And man, we talked about taking a ton of action. Probably wasn't the right action, but I didn't lack drive. I didn't lack getting up early, working hard, working late, working long hours. I didn't lack any of that. It just wasn't the right action. After year one of sales in insurance, I made $19,000 for the whole entire year. At this time, I had 2 kids, my wife, and we had a mortgage payment. Thank goodness, like our cars and stuff were paid off, but that was rough, guys. That was a hard time for me. $19,000 is not enough for a family to live on in the United States. And so it was one of the hardest things ever. Here's something cool that came from this though, is people are placed in our lives to help us become better individuals ourselves if we'll take that lesson and learn from it. So we talked about, you said, Alex, earlier, that these lessons are presented to us. Are we going to learn from them, or are we going to let them go and not learn from them? And I had a unique opportunity. This individual in our neighborhood would come by our house when we were making very little money. We didn't tell people we made little money. We didn't go out and claim poverty. No one knew that we were struggling. But this individual would come over, and he'd bring over like plates of cookies, or he'd bring us shakes, and he'd say, hey, I was just thinking about you guys, drop off shakes, or here's a plate of cookies, me and my family made some cookies, we're just thinking of you. And we'd unwrap them, and taped to the bottom of the plate would be like $200-$400. Taped to the bottom of the ice cream would be $200-$400. And he would do this often, and instantly you can sit there and think, man, why me? Why am I not making more money? Why are we having such a hard time? And you can get caught up and distracted by the why, or you can realize that what I believe is God's going to place some unique people in your life that you can learn from, that are going to lead and guide you on who you can help, also who you can become. And me and my wife, we committed, we want to be just like this individual, that any success that comes our way, we're not going to use it just to bless our lives, but we're going to use it to bless other people's lives. And that was the moment it clicked. That was the moment when everything started changing in entrepreneurship, because it was no longer about me. It was no longer about just going out there and working. God now blessed my efforts. God now blessed my activities. When I would go out and work, it was profitable work at this point, because I committed to him that I would use that money not just to bless my family, but to bless other families. And as I stayed true to that principle and still stay true to this principle today, I use X amount of dollars from my money that comes in. I held aside X amount of dollars every single time to bless other families' lives. I use it to retire my mom and dad. I use it to retire my in-laws. I use it to bless other missionaries that can't go serve other missions because they don't have the money. I'll pay for it. So I use it to bless other people's lives. And in doing so, when I go to work, my hours are blessed, and I'm able to do more with those hours, because now God's blessing those hours, because I'm going to use it to bless other people's lives.
That's amazing, man. And then the thing with giving is that, like, it trains your mind. You start thinking differently, right? Like, because the only reason why you wouldn't give something that you have very little of or whatever, right? No matter the amount, the only reason why you wouldn't give is because of fear of, again, like not making it back or not having enough, or right, which is scarcity, right? Which is like a root for scarcity. And like the thing with giving, when you give and you just give and you just give, it's because you know that more is
Abundance.
going to come,
Yeah,
right? That's like abundance.
that's correct.
And you start operating from that place. You start operating from the place of no, like there's someone that has my back, and like, no matter if I give this to you, I'm not even doing it to get more. I just know that I'll get more, and then I'll give you more, right?
That's the law of the harvest. You can't outgive the giver. And that's been true in my life. As much as I've given, and I'm not saying that to boast, I could always give more. I could always push myself to give more. But the principle I'm trying to say by saying this is I've never been able to outgive the giver. I've always received more than I've ever given.
Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah, cool. So no matter how much you give, you are always given more.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. If you do it the right mindset, I mean, you can, oh, I'm doing this because I'm supposed to. I don't know if that's going to equate to anything great, but when you truly want to see other people succeed and other people's lives be blessed because of your efforts, yeah, I believe to those, they're going to see something special in their life. It comes back tenfold.
Awesome, man. So you started to give, even if you had little. And then you were given more. So then what happened? Like, were you successful in insurance? Did you change careers?
It started going good. Yeah, we ended up growing. We were the fastest growing insurance agency in the state of Utah, actually. It ended up turning on really, really well. From there, I was insuring a ton of real estate investors. That's why I say everything has its step and its place in what I did. I don't wish my past was any different than what it was. It was meant to be. It was meant for me. It happened for me, not to me. And so it was there to help me along the way. I insured a bunch of real estate investors, and I happened to go to one of their meetings to see if I could insure more investors. So I'm at this real estate investor meeting, and this individual, he ends up sharing how, hey, I found this real estate deal and I didn't even have to close on it, but I found a buyer for it and I made $29,000. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, that's more money in 3 days than I made in 365 days my first year in insurance. Like, what are we talking about? And so I come to find out there's this term called wholesaling. And so in 2015, I got a mentor to teach me how to wholesale. So instead of training myself like insurance, I didn't have a mentor. I did this struggle all on my own. And that's why I made 19,000, because I tried to do it myself. But in 2015, I had now valued the value of a mentor. I now had this personal belief that I need to just continue to surround myself with people that are already doing it versus trying to figure this out my own. I got a mentor and started doing exactly what he wanted me to do. He says, send out marketing to these lists and you'll get phone calls and you'll set up appointments and that'll lead to getting a home. 39 days of doing this, I did my first real estate deal and it paid me $24,000. And I still remember this like it was yesterday. It was the craziest thing. I pinched myself because I'm like, no way does this happen. What's cool about anything that we accomplish in life is it turns it from faith to fact. We now know it works and we now know it works for me. And when everyone feels that, there's something that's called confidence. And when you have confidence, you're able to go out and conquer the world. By doing that one deal, it changed everything. Within 6 months, I had done like $500,000 worth of revenue in real estate. And then by year one, I was well over $1 million in revenue. And it just started snowballing super, super, super quick to where I ended up coaching over 3,000 students nationwide in exactly step-by-step how I was able to do it so fast. It was a blessing to build a large coaching platform. I since have sold it back in 2020 for an exit that was awesome. But now what I focus on is Joe Homebuyer. Joe Homebuyer happens to be the brand now that I really, really, really am focused on. And that is, instead of coaching 5,000 students, like going wide, I like to keep it narrow and just go deeper with each individual. And so this is actually a franchise system. So we franchised real estate investing with wholesaling and fix and flips and buying rentals, and basically showing people how they can buy, even in this market, homes at 40, 50 cents on the dollar. And we show them how they can do that. So they can either simply wholesale it, quickly move it to an investor, they can fix and flip it themselves, or they can keep it for a long-term buy and hold like a rental property. We now have been doing this for a little over 2 years, and we now have 50 franchise locations It's been growing super quick. We're looking to add another 50 this year. And so it's so fun, entrepreneurship, because it leads you to the next opportunity. And some opportunities are distractions, but then some of those you realize are the next step up, are the next thing you need to do, and the next thing to put your focus on. And so Joe Homebuyer is my focus right now, and just helping individuals succeed at investing in their local areas through the Joe Homebuyer franchise system.
Cool. That was amazing, man. Yeah, that was amazing. So then one thing that we can get from here, from what you just said, the last like minute or two, is that the fastest way for you to be successful is for you to find someone who is already where you want to be, and then get him to teach you.
100%. Jim Rohn, one of my favorite people. I wish I would have known him when he was alive, but I consider my mentor because I own every one of his books. Jim Rohn says you're the average of the 5 closest individuals you spend the most time with. And if we could all live by that principle, we can understand why we're either succeeding or why we're failing or why we're losing. If you're losing, check out the 5 people you're hanging out with. There's a good chance that you're losing because you're hanging out with losers. But if you're winning, there's a good chance, and it's not coincidence, that you're hanging out with winners. So if you want to win, find those 5, and those 5 are going to be different for income or like business. It could be a different set of 5 people for with relationships. It could be a different set of 5 for spirituality. It could be a different set of 5 for like physical fitness. But the whole point is find people that are better than you. Find the 5 people that are better than you in every area that you want to be the best in. And make sure you're not the smartest person in the room, or you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
So that's the quote I live by every single day. You're the average of the 5 closest individuals you spend the most time with.
Me too, man. And this is why I started my podcast, right? Because like what I want is to become a modern gentleman, to be, like a living proof of what it is to be a modern gentleman. So guess what I do? I connect with men who I would call modern gentlemen every single day. And that's who I talk to. That's who I surround myself with. And that's the, one of the principles that I live by. And I didn't mean to make this podcast about God, even though I'm not like ashamed that it was. But man, I went to the 10X conference this weekend, and I met a girl. Oh, like something really awesome happened to me, man. And I met this girl, and you're talking about steps, right? Like that's the cool thing about entrepreneurship. It has like steps that it will lead you to like another step in your life.
Yep.
And I met this girl whose gift is that God talks through her, right? So like God talks through her, and then she has to say whatever it is God is trying to tell you, right? So she comes up to me, man. She doesn't know me, and she starts telling me about my future, about the things that I already know are going to happen, that I already feel grateful for, even though I haven't received it yet. And she started telling me, and she's like, "You're going to be doing things bigger than this," she said. And then I'm like, "What? Like, who are you?" Right? And then she kept on telling me, and then yeah, you're going to be even bigger than Grant Cardone. And I was like, I know. And then she kept on telling me things that I already knew, that I already know. And I was like, I know. And I was like, I know. And then everything that she told me, I was like, I know, but how do you know? And then she told me about her gift. And then she told me that God told her to tell me that everything that I want will become true, that even more will become true, but that I'm still playing too small. And then we exchanged Instagrams. And then when I was on the plane, I saw she sent me a message. And then she told me that, yeah, I'm building this brand and stuff, but that soon I'm going to be presented with an opportunity that is going to make me like switch my focus, and it's going to be all right. So like there's another step, and I'm really like, I don't know if I'm scared. I don't know what to feel, man, but it was a really cool, amazing experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And you will know when that thing comes.
I know.
Like I said, every one of the things that I've done in the past were meant to be. And you just know, and sometimes it's not easy. I still had fear when I jumped from insurance into real estate, but I had to move forward. It's like you said, right? One of these, a couple of these signs up here, it says, take massive imperfect action. I'm all about not having a perfect plan. There's no such thing as a perfect plan, but there is taking massive imperfect action. And the one down below says, strive for progress, not perfection. Don't build perfect plans. Perfect plans don't exist. The person that's willing to get out of their way, get uncomfortable, take imperfect action is miles ahead of the person sitting at home on a couch building the perfect plan, taking no action at all.
100%. So, man, is the Inc. 5000 company, is that the company you exited?
Yeah, so that was Wholesaling Inc. So we made that 2 years in a row. But yeah, that was the company we sold in 2020.
So like, what was your EBITDA? Like, what kind of technology did you add to make sure you EBITDA was high? Did you add like software or something like that?
Yeah, it's interesting what you have to do for selling a company. Not only do you have to have a coaching platform, but we had reoccurring revenue. So you've got your sales that come in, and we did about 5 and 7 million a year in coach sales. And then from there, we'd have the reoccurring revenue. So there was a 297 reoccurring revenue so they could continue to hop on a call, continue to have access to the program. And that retention rate was like 93%. And so you times that by the over 3,000 students, 93% of them continued to pay $297 a month. There was reoccurring revenue. And then when it comes to the software side, we were really actually big on affiliates. And so instead of us building out the websites, we would refer them to customers that were good at building out their websites. And then they would give us an affiliate or a kickback, a commission, whatever you want to call it, but we'd call it affiliates. And so we had many companies that, because they loved our students, we had the greatest tribe, the greatest culture. When we referred them, they would stick and their retention rate was awesome. And so we built this venue or this revenue channel of just affiliate income. That affiliate income has an incredible multiplier when you sell a business.
Cool. That was amazing. So, man, we have a couple of minutes, and I want to make sure that I have some time to ask 5 questions. Okay. So the first question is, how old are you right now?
That's 38.
38. Got it. So what piece of advice would you give your 20-year-old self if you could? Not change your life or redo stuff. No, just give your 20-year-old self some advice. What would that be?
Oh, man. My advice would be as simple as it sounds, and what I just said is take massive, imperfect action, meaning just fail your way forward. Know that it's part of life. It's a growth mindset. If we could teach every one of our kids, teach everyone we're around to have a growth mindset, they would realize every time you fail, there's some incredible chemistry going on inside the brain that if you knew that it's not really hurting you, you're not really losing, those failures are actually making you wiser, making you smarter, and making you more capable and able to do bigger things in the future. We would really be running towards failure as fast as we could, because failure is your best friend if you will allow it to be your best friend.
Man, you want to know something that I just learned? The reason Albert Einstein was so smart, quote unquote, is not because he had a bigger brain or a different brain. The reason is because his brain produced more of a chemical that I don't remember the name of the chemical, but that chemical is produced when you fail. Yeah, or right. Like when you can't figure things out.
That's right.
So like literally, Albert Einstein was so smart because he failed so much that his brain produced so much of this chemical, which is like what helps you learn better or faster.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think one of his brilliant quotes is kind of paraphrasing it. He always said, if you judge a fish by how well it climbs a tree, it'll always grow up thinking it's stupid. And so fish aren't meant to climb trees. So we're all going to attack life differently. And so I can't judge you on how you're attacking life, because you're attacking life the way you need to attack life. I'm attacking life the way I need to attack life. But Albert Einstein's a brilliant dude, but exactly, he failed his way forward. And because of that, will be going down in history forever as one of the most brilliant minds out there. Why? Because he committed to failure.
And it goes back to school.
That's right.
That's how the school system works, man. They literally give the same test to everyone, no matter if they're cat, dogs, monkeys, or whatever. Right? So they test everyone on how to climb trees when, like, not everyone is a monkey, right? Like you have fishes and cats and dogs as students, and that's why a lot of students grow up feeling like they're stupid. But no, like it's just the school system failed them.
That's right.
So the second question is around mindset, man. What is one mindset shift that you've had that you can share that has allowed you to get to where you are right now in your life?
Yeah, mine is out of abundance. So abundance mindset. And my whole little quote that I just use personally all the time for myself is, we're all going to the ocean with 5-gallon buckets, meaning there's more than enough for every single one of us. And if we'll always remember that, There's not, you getting a deal doesn't mean that's a less deal for me, or me getting a deal that's less deals for you. It's just not that way. I don't see it that way. I think we all have a loving God that wants to lead and guide us and protect us and watch over us. And there's deals that are meant to be Alex's, and there's deals that are meant to be Cody's. And if we can always keep that in check and remember that there's more than enough deals for all of us, all you got to do is, what are you going to do with it? What good on earth are you going to do with it? Because the more good you do with it, I'm convinced that's what unlocks how many deals you're going to do, or whatever it is that you want to tie that phrase. Deals for me would be like, how many real estate transactions I do is directly proportionate to how much value and how much I'm willing to give back.
Cool. I like that. The third question is mindset map clarity. So, what is like an insight, piece of advice, tactic, or strategy that you would give to people who lack clarity, who want more clarity in their life?
This one's tough. I had this conversation with a guy yesterday. His question was exactly, he's like, I'm at a crossroads, Cody. I don't know whether I keep my job and do real estate part-time, or if I jump all in. The question I would ask is what happens if you don't move forward? What's going to happen to you if you don't move forward? What happens if you stay at this same job? And so for those that might be listening, that you're like on the fence post to become an entrepreneur or working for someone, I don't have the answer what you should do, but I always say to people, pick your suck. Now this sounds interesting, but I'll have an answer why. Pick your suck, because yes, it sucks. A lot of people say, my job sucks. I hate my job. It's awful, but at least it's secure. At least it's safe. And getting to entrepreneurship, it would suck. It would mean I'd have to leave this and do something I don't know. And I don't even know if I'm going to win. Here's what I would tell you. Pick your suck. You're right. They both suck. Going to a job 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 and not having a retirement plan, to me, that sounds awful. And so I would rather go to the casino of life and go all in on Cody Hofhine and bet on me that I'm going to win. And I don't want this business to be the one that thinks Cody's going to win or not going to win. I don't want to bet on corporate America that they're going to treat me right and treat me with respect. I want to go bet on me. So I wanted to start my own business. Did it suck? It sucked. But working for corporate America sucked a lot worse than working for myself. And so I tell people, pick your suck.
Cool. Nice, man. Yeah. Pretty simple. I mean, maybe not simple. Oh yeah, it's simple, but it's hard, right? Yeah.
Ask the tough questions. What will you do if you don't move forward? What happens if you keep working for this job? Most people will tell you, yeah, that sounds dreadful. Some days I don't even want to wake up. Well, then at what point are you going to stop thinking that and go do something else?
Yeah. Pick your poison. So
That's
mindset
right.
map motion. Motion is about a habit. So what is one habit that you have that you think has contributed to your success, man?
Read daily. Reading, all
100%.
readers are leaders. And so I would tell you, read daily. If you want to be successful, read. All the greats out there have left so much knowledge, so much, the crumbs of success are right in our fingertips. In fact, right now I happen to be reading Limitless by Jim Quick. Incredible. It's just all about mind and brain and the power of your brain. But I'll tell you, I'm always reading. Reading is huge in my life.
Amazing. Mindset map motion measure. So what do you think about tracking and measuring and tracking?
Well, I will tell you, whatever you focus on grows. Whatever you don't focus on escapes you. The biggest thing is look at what your key metrics are for whatever it is you're doing. So if it's for your relationship with your wife, for me, my key relationship or my key measurement is a couple that prays together, stays together. And so I'm making sure that I'm praying with my wife daily.
Praying?
Yep. We pray together,
cool.
Pray together daily. The other one is that we go on a date night every single week. And then the other one is we have pillow talk. We catch up every single night and just map out, how did the day go? What could we do better? What does tomorrow look like? So those are 3 key metrics for a relationship. But no matter what area of my life, I have those same key metrics. If I know I want my team knows that if they want to get deals in real estate, they know they're going to have to talk to X amount of people every single day. They know they're going to have to go on X amount of appointments every single week. And they know they're going to have to do X amount of hours in follow-up. When they do those 3 things, deals don't just magically or coincidentally happen. It's because they're focused on the right key metrics that allow them to get deals consistently. So every area of my life, they're not the same. I have to map out what are the 3 major key metrics I have to focus on to make sure my relationship with God is good, my relationship with my wife is good, relationship with my kids is good, relationship with my business is good, and my community. And so those metrics kind of bounce around, but have 3 key metrics that have helped you succeed, and just do them over and over again.
Mindset, map, motion, measure, money. Those are the questions that I ask every single interview, man. So like, I'm literally building like a course that for free, that if people just listen and apply, they'll end up with a bunch of money, which is results in every single area of their lives.
That's the byproduct.
Yeah, man. And so, man, thank you very much, man. I really enjoyed this conversation. And if I'm someone who wants to learn more about real estate and what you got going on, if I really like Cody, where should I go?
You can find me on Instagram at Cody Hofhine. So I'm sure you'll have like show notes that have the spelling. Find me on Instagram. You can go to joehomebuyer.com. You can learn more about that. If you have any questions in regards, I'm a very open book individual. I have free courses. I have free guides, all those things like that. So if you message me on Instagram, I'm always responsive. And I'm always there, either with my personal, like, here's something you can do, or here's a free course, or here's free something, so that I can at least get you going in the right direction. So anything real estate, love doing it. If it's ever just listen more than I speak. So if someone needs something just for me to be an ear, I'm always here, guys. So nice. Find me on Instagram. That's the most easy way to find me.
Do you have podcasts?
Podcast? No. So we sold that when we sold Wholesaling Inc. That was
you sold the podcast as well?
The podcast came with it, because it was the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. So that was the #1 producer of all the leads that we did.
That's cool. Awesome. Yeah. So do you run events or anything like that?
Not anymore. With Joe Homebuyer, we do it, but they're all Joe Homebuyer events, meaning you'd have to be a franchise to come to that. We do one mastermind a year. We do it out on our Lake Powell, just out in Arizona. We have a 8-bedroom houseboat, like a yacht, that me and my business partner own, and we take people out there once a year and do a real estate mastermind. Well, thank you very much, man. I appreciate you being here. Go and follow Cody. And just one more thing, man. Like, you and me, we agree that you're the average of the 5 people you're surrounding yourself with. And one of the ways that I've been able to change the 5 people that I surround myself with to be people who I actually look up to and want to be like, and have helped me achieve my goals, is through my podcast, right? So there's going to be a special link in the description of this, along with all of your links as well, in the description of this episode. A link, I don't know what the link is going to be, /Cody Hofhine, which is going to take people on a free training from A to Z on how to build, launch, monetize, and automate $1 million network building podcast. So I'm going to add that in there as well, especially for this episode, a link special for this episode. And yeah, man, thank you very much. Alex, thank you so much. Appreciate your time, brother. All right, man. Bye-bye. See you. Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms